one cup at a time. Yeah, this is tea time. Yeah, making a difference, one cup at a time. Tea time. So be sure to grab your tea, grab a seat, and tune in to Miss Liz. Tea time, making a difference, one cup at a time. Tea time, yeah. Tea time, time.
Well, welcome. And we are in the evening tea time. That's right. We did this morning with Elder Dogs in Canada, and then we jumped into Chubby Beagle Productions. We're all over today. But now I have a fellow sister in the house, Dr. Theresa A. Moseley, who I got to meet in person in Detroit a couple years ago. So I am really excited about tonight's tea time. And we're going to talk peace. And everyone knows Miss Liz loves peace. So let's just grab your peaceful tea, grab your coffee, grab your glass of wine, whatever you prefer. You do not need to drink tea to listen to Tea Time. So before we get started, we'll do all the good stuff. We'll do disclaimer and a little bit of the bio, and then I'll get you to check over on my Facebook page for Dr. Theresa's bio. This woman has done so much. She is incredible. She is a huge supporter of Miss Liz, and I really am honored to have her here tonight with me on Tea Time. So before we get started, let's get all that good stuff out of the way. So disclaimer for Miss Liz's live tea show. Miss Liz myself is going live using StreamYard. Before leaving a comment, please grant StreamYard permission to see the name at StreamYard.com. Please be advised that the content brought forward for any Tea Time show hosted by myself, Miss Liz, is always brought forward in good faith. However, may bring forth dialogue and opinions that are not representative of my platform. The facts and information are perceived to be accurate at the given time of airing. All Tea Time guests and audience participants are responsible for using their good judgment in taking any action that may relate to the discussion. The content brought forward may include discussion for some where they may be emotionally at risk. It is significant to know that this show is engaging in discussion forums only to offer and inspire awareness and connection and is not providing therapeutical advice. If you have any questions about the disclaimer or the panelist discussion, you may freely contact me, Miss Liz, through my email at bookingmissliz@gmail.com. Moving forward, should you choose to voluntarily participate in tonight's show in any aspect, I myself, Miss Liz, welcomes you. And should you decide that the show is not made for you at this time, I respect those wishes, and I'll see you at a later show at a later date and time. And again, all tea times are done on Thursday, unless it's a rescheduled tea time, which is done on a Monday and Tuesday. So now let me give you a little bit on Dr. Theresa, because this lady is amazing. Dr. Theresa A. Moseley is a United Nations Peace Ambassador, United States Army veteran, inspirational and motivational speaker, 12-time best-selling author, 3-time international best-selling author, and a 3-time award-winning educator, and a retired educator after 28 years of service. Dr. Moseley has been featured in several magazines, including Women of Dignity, Speakers Magazine, Tap In, Vision and Purpose Magazine, The Black Family, and the Called2Inspire Magazine. She has been featured in over 300 news articles worldwide, including CXO Outlook, CEO Weekly, and Voyage ATL. Dr. Moseley was recognized as one of the top 50 courageous women in business and top 25 women to watch in 2022. Dr. Moseley Women of Hearts Award, and she CO Boss Award, the Phenomenal Woman Award, and the ICN Civility Imprint Award in London, England, for her work on peace. To know more about Dr. Moseley, please go over to the Facebook page and check it out. This woman's bio is incredible. So let me get her in here so we can spill some tea and I can take a sip of tea. So welcome, Dr. Theresa.
Well, hello, Miss Liz. Thank you for having me today.
It is an honor to have you. Like, I've been waiting for a long time to get us together. We it's been already 2 3 years. No, 2 years since we've seen each other.
Yes, I'm so excited about tonight.
Yeah. So share a little bit, Dr. Theresa, on who you were as a little girl and how you became the woman you are today.
So I was born at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, which is now I think called Fort Liberty. I was an Army brat. My dad was in the Army for 27 years. And so the first 2 years I was in North Carolina, but then I went to Germany when I was 2 years old and stayed for 3.5 years old until I was stayed 3.5 years. And when I came back, I was 5 years old. I was bilingual. I spoke German and I spoke English, but I lost all my German because I had no German friends to talk to in the States. But I was always a curious little kid. I mean, I remember the first day of first grade, I was saying to myself, wow, this teacher is so amazing. I love the way she led the class. We learned to read by phonics, at, cat, bat, sat, rat. And I wondered, what am I going to lead one day? I mean, I was 6 years old and wondering what my purpose was. And then, of course, 12 years later, I joined the Army. So that's a little bit about my childhood. I loved school. I was in every play. I used to sing a lot. My voice was my gift. I knew that when I was 2 years old. Little did I know what God had in store for me. Not only was my voice my gift in singing, but in speaking and writing. I had 4 brothers growing up. 2 are deceased, 2 are still alive. Ordinary family in little town of North Carolina, Fayetteville. I had my own room because I was the only girl. And I went to church every Sunday. I went to Sunday school every Sunday. I went to prayer meeting on Wednesdays, Girl Scout meeting on Tuesday. Just a normal all-American girl life growing up.
Well, and what got you into the peace, Dr. Theresa?
Okay, so when I joined the Army, I got out after 5 years of service because I knew that I wanted to go to college. And I went to school, I received 3 degrees, and my last degree was at my PhD in ed admin, and I was a high school principal. And what happened is I lost 2 students my very first 2 years of being a high school principal. My first year, one kid was shot to death near his house. And my second year, one of my students was beat to death in a park. And I started a campaign for no more violence, one school, one community, one county at a time. And the second year, one city, one state, one nation at a time. And both of these boys, they had every reason to live. Brandon was a football player and he could have played NFL ball. He really was just that good. And Israel was an artist. Like his art was so amazing. I mean, that was his key to generational wealth. And so I said, I've got to make sure that, they just don't die. And so I think about them all the time. Every book that I write on peace, I dedicate to them. And so I knew that I had to do more than just write books. I knew that I had to do more than just have a campaign for no more violence. And so I went to a master's class, and there the teacher said, what is your gift, Theresa? And I said, I think my gift is my voice. And she said, there's 2 days that are important, that Mark Twain quote, the day you were born and the day you find out why. So what are you going to do with your gift? What is your passion? I said, I think my passion is serving others. Listen, I served others as a Girl Scout. I served others in the Army. I served others, parents, students, teachers, community as a high school principal. I love serving others. It's just, what do you think your purpose is? And that's when I reflected on my cousins that I lost to violence in Baltimore, my students that I lost to violence. And I said, I think that my purpose is to make this world a more peaceful place. And that's when I started my business, Creating Ambassadors of Peace.
So how do people become ambassadors for peace?
Okay, so I had the very good fortune of speaking in Paris, France, on how a transformational leader can lead their employees to have inner peace. And then I went to New York to another conference, and there a United Nations Peace Ambassador was there, and she heard me speak, and she says, "Oh, so you have a business creating ambassadors of peace." I said, "Yeah." And she says, "They call you the peacemaker, right?" I said, "Yeah, they do." She goes, "Well, how would you like to be a real peace ambassador?" I said, "What?" And she says, "Yeah." And she showed me her badge, and she said, "I can nominate you to be a peace ambassador." And so it goes to the president of WOLMI. And if they accept me, they read my resume. Then I go to training. I went to training last September. And actually, I was inducted this May into WOLMI United Nations Peace Ambassador. So I have a badge and ID. And I'm going to training in Geneva next week and training in Vienna in October. And it's been a real rewarding experience.
Well, we talked about this before we went live. You're traveling a lot.
Yes.
So I believe right now you're in Spain, right?
No, I just got back from Spain on Sunday.
Oh, you just got back.
Yes, I'm going to Geneva next week. Yes, and I travel a lot. I'm going to travel the next 5 months.
So where are you going in the next 5 months?
Okay, so I'm going to Geneva for Peace Ambassador training next week on the 20th, and then I'm going to Montreal, Canada for a jazz festival. I do need a real vacation. Then I'm going to Las Vegas for a conference on peace. The end of July. Then I'm going to Alberta, Calgary for another award ceremony. I've been nominated for Speaker of the Year. Then I'm going to my granddaughter's turning 21, so I'm going to take her to the Bahamas for her 21st birthday. Then I have a speaking engagement in Madrid, Spain, the end of October. Then I have an award show in Baltimore on Veterans Day, and I'm a veteran. I've won SheBoss. What is it? A SheBoss Award in November. And then the following weekend, I'm in London back for the Women of Heart Awards, where I've actually won 2 awards this year and I'm getting a crowning. So I'm pretty busy. Yeah.
And your grandchildren are lucky because when we talked about booking you in for tea time, you were in Hawaii with your grandson.
Yes, I was.
Yes. So she's a loving grandma, and besides a peace ambassador. You really do travel and you really do get your voice out there, Dr. Theresa. When I met you in Detroit, you were one of the ones that really came to me, and we had our moments and we talked, and you really have been supportive ever since. So I want to really thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. I have to share something that happened to me while I was cruising in the Mediterranean. I was on a cruise ship and I went to 8 different countries or cities in different countries. And there was a lady in line at the guest services, and she said, I had a Christian Dior bag. She goes, "Oh, I really like your bag." I said, "Thank you." And I gave her a smile and I said, "I like your dress." And then she turned around and she looked at me and she says, "I don't normally talk to strangers, but just something told me to talk to you." And we began to talk, and I told her a little bit about who I was and what I do. And I had a book, and I had actually my book, in my bag. And I said, "You know what? Let me give you an autographed copy of my book." And she says, "Are you a peace ambassador?" I said, "Yeah." She goes, "I knew there was something about you." She said, "You resonate peace and kind and love." I said, "Oh my God," which she assured to me. What that did to me was it made me realize that I am living in my purpose, because it's all of me, inside and out of me, that resonates love, peace, and hope. And even a strange lady who never talks to anybody talked to me because she felt that she could. That was rewarding for me. It was just validating that I'm living in my purpose.
Yeah, and when we met in Detroit for the Sean Farrah Leadership Experience Tour, you were like the mama bird. You watched over all of us. You were like keeping us all in line, like behave yourselves. Have fun, but don't get out of line.
Right.
And I think that was what really drew me to you, was that mama bird, protector.
I love people.
Yeah. So we were talking about your book that you brought up. I have a signed copy here. I just can't find it because Joy Brown had actually sent me, and she's one of the authors in the book. So do you want to share a little bit about your book that you wrote?
Yes. One of my first books on peace was Creating Ambassadors of Peace, 16 Steps to Become Ambassador of Peace, where I talk about communicate, don't retaliate. I talk about have compassion and empathy for others, especially when they don't look like you. I talk about loving your community and serving them well and how to attack the problem, not the person. That book was really geared towards young adults, teens, high school students to give them steps to make better decisions. So something said, Theresa, you need to write another book more so for adults, people that go through trials and tribulations. So let them know that no matter what you go through in life, the reason why you have your story is that you can share it with the world, which that's what birthed this book, Passion, Purpose, Peace, the Pathway Through Trials and Tribulations. Because I truly believe that if you are passionate about something, that you live in your purpose, that you will be successful, fulfilled, prosperous, and have inner peace. So I found, through so many conferences and just meeting different people, I found about 12, 13 people that had stories to share, and their trials and tribulations and how they overcame them to have inner peace. And all of them are now successful, fulfilled, and living in their purpose, and they have inner peace. My daughter did the foreword for the book. I was so proud of her. She's a pastor and she's working on her master's degree. My son-in-law wrote a chapter in the book, and the afterword was from Dr. Desiree Richardson from the UK, who is actually in charge of WUHA, the Women of Heart Awards, and it was nice meeting her. And so there's so many people that Dr. Rhonda Wood, Joy Brown, Dr. Nadia Manzano. So these are stories of people. I mean, I have another veteran in here who was in the shower and woke up with bombs, throughout her room, and she survived to tell about that. It's so many stories, childhood trauma, sexual abuse that people overcame to live in their purpose. And I thought this book needed to be completed and told, these stories.
Well, Dr. Theresa, we have the 3 P's with you all the time: peace, purpose, passion. What do those 3 words mean to you as an individual?
My T.
There's your 3 P's, right?
So I just told you earlier that I read about 3 or 4 books a week, and I read this book on this Japanese philosophy called Ikigai. And what it says is this: if you really are passionate about something and the world needs it, that's your mission in life. And if you really love to do something and you're passionate about it, that's your purpose. And if the world needs whatever it is and you're passionate about it and you get paid to do it, that's really your divine assignment. Okay? And so passion, everybody is passionate about something. Now, some people have a hard time figuring it out. Like when I meet some people sometimes, I say, okay, what's your gift? What's your passion? And they get real quiet. Like, I don't know. No one's ever asked me that. Yes, you do. And see, I have the gift of discernment, so I already know. Yep. That lady in line on that boat, I knew she wanted to talk to me. That's why I pulled out that book and gave it to her. I just kind of know things. And so people need to, and you know what? It starts, everybody is born with a gift. It starts when you're born. That gift, you're going to be really passionate about it. And parents, and not just parents, caretakers, aunts, uncles, brothers, sisters, when you know someone has a gift, you need to nurture that gift. Because when you nurture that gift, then they can do amazing things in the world with that gift, right? My gift is not meant for me. My gift is my voice. My voice is to be shared with the world. I often tell the story about, I told you I was a high school principal, about a student that could not go back to his home school because he was locked up for something for quite some time. And so they sent him to my school, and I had to interview him and his mother before I could accept him into school. So I said, okay, so you've been locked up for a while. What grade are you in, son? And he says, I really don't know. I said, well, how long have you been locked up? He said, about 1.5 years. I said, what grade were you in before you went, to lock up? And he said, I think I was in 9th grade. I said, well, I need to determine your transcript to see, where I need to place you if I accept you in the school. And he put his head down. And I said, what are you feeling right now? And he goes, I don't know how I feel. And then I looked at his mother and I said, so let me change the subject. I said, tell me something. What are you passionate about? What do you like to do? He stood up, and he was about 6'3". He stood up and said, I like to draw. I said, oh, You like to draw? I said, can you draw me what you're feeling? And I gave him a blank piece of paper and a pencil. And Miss Liz, he drew a broken heart with tears in it. I looked at his mother. I said, oh my God, your son is an artist. This is brilliant. This is his key to generational wealth. This is his gift. I said, this is his legacy that he's going to leave the world. I said, how long has your son been drawing like this? She says, oh, since he's been about 3 years old. I said, did you nurture that gift by buying him art supplies for Christmas and his birthday? And she said, we don't have money like that. I said, oh my God. And I looked at the boy and I said, that broken heart is you, isn't it? He said, yeah, how'd you know? I said, I have the gift of discernment. I know that broken heart is you, but tell your mother what those tears mean. He said, when I didn't get stuff for Christmas, when I didn't get stuff for my birthday, when people bullied me because I was 6 feet and wasn't a basketball player, all these things that he was holding in. Oh my God. And I just it took me 15 minutes to figure out his gift, his passion, and his purpose. I said, son, today is the first day of the rest of your life. We're going to get you some art supplies. I said, Mom, your son needs art therapy. Okay. I don't know what happened on that field when he got in trouble, but I can tell you probably a lot of that trauma from childhood is one of the reasons why he did what he did. Your son's not a bad kid. He just needs some direction. He needs a paintbrush. Okay. I said, son, if you can draw like this, I know you can paint. I said, let me tell you something. You can own your own business. Anybody ever tell you that? I said, you can have your own art studio. And by the way, buy a building, have the art studio downstairs and your apartment upstairs. And that's what you do every day. Have an art show and sell your work. This is your legacy that you're going to leave the world. This is your key to generational wealth. That's what I did as a high school principal. I just didn't, sign checks and suspend kids. I really helped my students understand that you are here for a reason. Okay. And then I did some history with kids too. I have the rainbow inside of me. I'm part Nigerian, but I'm part Scottish and English too. So, I have immigrants that came over on a slave ship and immigrants that came over on an immigrant ship, So I have a cousin who looks just like me, but she has blonde hair and blue eyes, and we love each other. So I'm all about, love, peace, hope, and will. Yeah. So, but the question was, what is passion? See, that's what you can tell. That's what I'm passionate
I can tell.
Helping other people discover who they are and know what they're passionate about and to live their best life. And I teach them how to develop blueprints to do that.
And this is what we need. We need people that live the passion. Don't just do it because you can. Put the heart into it. And Dr. Theresa, you put the heart into a lot of things. You gave 28 years of service to all these kids.
Right.
What was your favorite all-time moment in that 28 years?
Oh my goodness. There were so many special moments, but I have to tell you, it was my third year in the county. I actually won Prince George's County Chamber of Commerce Outstanding Educator. Now, let me tell you why that was special. I'd only been in the county for 3 years, and I won this award. But everybody else, there was like maybe 10 other winners, had been in the county 25 years, 32 years, 28 years. I'm like, whoa! I've been in the county 3 years, and I won. But somebody recognized the work that I was doing, and I was a guidance counselor. Makes sense, right? I was a guidance counselor back then. So that was. There's been so many wonderful things, but that was one thing that I was really proud of, and it was a very proud moment. And also getting my PhD a couple of years later was another rewarding experience for me.
So you were in the Army. What did that teach you, Dr. Theresa?
Okay, so it taught me that I had leadership skills that I didn't know that I had. Remember when I was in first grade, I said, I wonder what I'm going to lead one day. So my high school guidance counselor was so upset with me that I had a 3.9 grade point average and I was joining the Army. Okay. But my very first day of basic training, by the way, I was a dad girl. So my dad was in the Army, so I wanted to be just like my father. Okay, my father went airborne, I wanted to go airborne. But my very first day of basic training, I was placed in a leadership role. We had to put 40 wardrobes together. There's 40 girls in a company, okay? And I think there's 4 companies that make up a battalion. But anyway, we had to put together 40 wardrobes. So all of our material, our beds were new, our wardrobes were new, and we weren't going to get any gear until we finished these wardrobes. So the drill sergeant says, you have all day to put these 40 wardrobes together, and then we're going to give you guys the rest of your gear. So as soon as he left, I told the ladies, I said, hey, we can do this in less than 4 hours. I said, how many people are good with reading directions? So one lady says, oh, I don't even have to read it. I could just look at the picture and tell you where everything goes. I said, good, I need 3 more just like her. We need to get in 4 groups of 10. The small girls like me will do materials. The tall girls, you'll do the big heavy pieces. And our engineers, you'll do the screwing, the nuts and bolts. We got them done in 3.5 hours. Drill sergeant comes back and said, ladies, and we said, yes, drill sergeant. How did you get this job done so fast? And one lady said, Baby Moseley, because I was the youngest one there, I was 18. Baby Moseley gave us roles and responsibilities based upon our strengths. And I said, oh, wait a second. Baby Moseley is not going to take credit for what the team did. Even at 18, I knew not to take credit for something that everybody did together. But what I didn't realize, it was I had innate leadership skills. You know, I kind of knew what to do. And also, being in the Army taught me, you better be on time. I'm always 15 minutes early. I'm never late. Taught me responsibility, integrity, teamwork. You know, never leave your wingman. Even though I wasn't a pilot, you know, you always stay with your wingman. You know, it was a great experience. I had some things that happened that weren't so great while I was in the military, but I dealt with them, you know. But for the most part, I had a really good experience. And I learned that I had leadership skills that I hadn't tapped on because I was the only girl. So I was treated like a little princess. I didn't have to cook. I didn't have to clean. Everything was done for me. But when I joined the Army, I had to do everything on my own.
So, and it actually shows you how to fend for yourself as well.
Yes.
You know, when you have everything given to you, then you start to, oh, okay, well, I don't need to do this. But by going to the Army, you learned that you had to fend for yourself. You had to take those steps. Yes. Dr. Theresa, you really are a role model for a lot of us out there. We watch you, we follow you. You're traveling, we're traveling with you. We're in your suitcase with you. You know, the passion is there. And I want to thank you for being authentic and being that person that, you know, just pushes. You're that good leader that pushes the team, you know, and I'm glad that you brought that up and you said, I didn't take the credit for everything. You know, the team did it. We need that team leadership, you know, because without the team, the leader is nothing, you know?
Yes. On my travels, I met a young man that worked in corporate America. He does sales. He sells hospital beds. And he was telling me that, you know, we were sitting at the bar and, you know, we were just talking about, you know, just things. And I told him I'm a motivational speaker, I'm an author, da, 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 da. And he says, you know what? He goes, I'm a salesperson and I can teach people how to sell a bed, but I can't teach them compassion and empathy. I need people like you to teach my people soft skills. You know, you need to teach me soft skills because I'm all about the bottom dollar. I can teach you how to sell this, but I can't teach you to have compassion and empathy. I can't teach you this and that. So my next book is going to be the essential soft skills for effective leadership because that all ties into peace. As a leader, if you're in charge of a group of people, whether it's 10 or 210, you need to make sure that you know who they are, that you know what they're passionate about, that their goals that are set are reasonable. And if they're struggling, you know how to assist them, not to break them down. Because if you don't, they're going to have stress. When you have stress, there's anger. When there's anger, there is no peace. Does that make sense? Yes. So my whole other genre of speeches is on transformational leadership and how it's important for leaders to really work and understand their people so they don't go back and blow up the building. You know, how many disgruntled people go back to work and shoot up the place or the theater or the post office or the Walmart? You know, that should never happen. And if it does, you should know who those people are, right?
Well, and I think that's something that you taught us too during our relationship and over the time that we got to know each other was understanding what is that cause root of the anger, you know,
Mm-hmm.
fix it so that you can have that peaceful life. You can have hard days, you can have rough days, but it's how your character and your integrity at the end of the day is.
If the issue isn't the issue, then the answer won't be the solution.
Correct.
So I'm pretty good because I have the gift of discernment to know what the issues are, you know. So I can go into an organization and observe it for 2 days and talk to the leadership team about what's really going on. If you go into the break room and everybody is quiet, it's a problem. If you are lonely at the top, it's a problem. Yeah.
So that's why you're a watcher. You're like me. I sit in a room and I watch. I'm like, okay, we're on break. Nobody's moving. Everybody's still quiet. What's going on in here? So being a principal and being an educator for so many years, I'm sure that having the skills and the soft skills that you have, Dr. Theresa, has helped you along the way. Has any of the students come to you now that you're retired and said thank you for what you've done for me?
I have rock star status with some of my students. I run into them in the mall. I run into them, different places. I remember, oh, this was last year. I remember because, we had COVID for about 3 years. And I went into a seafood restaurant and I was ordering my seafood meal to go. And this girl comes up behind me and she says, Dr. Theresa Moseley? And I turn around and I said, hi, because I didn't remember her. She goes, hi. She goes, oh my God, you're my assistant principal at Benjamin Tasker. And I said, oh yeah, how you doing? And she says, I know that voice anywhere. She said, you have this certain piece about you. Oh my God. She says, you changed my life because I was always on social media arguing with my friends. But you told me that he said, she said, half of it isn't real. And when you got all those girls together in that room and we started talking about what he said, she said, and nobody said nothing, made me realize that you were right. Oh my goodness. So, my daughter, I have 4 girls. My daughter Nadia is a Nobel Scholar. And in 2007, we went to Atlanta, Georgia. I'm digressing a little bit, but I'll bring it all full circle. And when Klaus Nobel is the great nephew of Alfred Nobel, the Nobel Prize person. And he told all of the children, including my daughter, that you all have shown that you have academic excellence. Now go into the world and become ambassadors of peace. That resonated with me. That's why I named my company Creating Ambassadors of Peace. But the young lady that I talked to, that was after I went to the Nobel Scholars, ceremony in Atlanta. So every child that came, when I was assistant principal, that came to my office back in 2006, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, I made sure that not only did I deal with the issue at hand, but I talked to them about who they were and what they wanted to be. And I talked to parents too. Oh my gosh. Like educators, it's not, I'm talking to educators now. I know you go to school and you get degrees, but our society has changed since 1950s and 60s when we mostly had 2 parents at home, and in the 70s the divorce rate was rapid, like 50%. And now it is our responsibilities to make sure that our children are safe in our classroom, that we nurture their gifts, we find out what their gifts are, and that we give everybody an equal opportunity to have an education. Just don't call on the smart kids. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it is our responsibility to make sure that the kids that leave our classroom are healthy academically, socially, and emotionally. I'm just saying, I'm putting it out there. Things have changed. So you just don't give a test, teach, and do grades anymore. Get to know who your children are.
And that's what I love about you, Dr. Theresa, is when I met you, that was the message that you put out there. Don't just go for the smart kid. Don't just go for the kid that's always winning the first prize. Cheer on that child that's coming in last, because they still finished the race. They still did the assignment. They still showed up. We really have to start bringing empathy to forefront and say, you know what, you matter too, you know.
Yep.
And and that's what you do, is you have that time and you listen and you notice things and you're like, aha, tell me why you do this, why did you do that, you know, and you figure it out and you're like, now this is what I see. And you kind of talk through it, and then they see and we see, you know.
And the
And I think that's what we need, is we need more women like you, Dr. Theresa, where you are straightforward and you're like, you know what, we really need to shape up and we need to start putting our heart in it.
I remember when I was an assistant principal at Walker Mill Middle School, one of the students came up to me and she says, I noticed something about you. I said, what's that? She says, you hang out with the bad kids. And I said, there is no such thing as a bad kid. But I heard what she was saying, because what it was, I was new there and I wanted to get to know all of the kids. And the smart kids, they're going to come and introduce themselves and tell you all their dreams. But the kids that get in trouble all the time, they're going to avoid you. So I made sure that I met everybody and talked to everybody. I remember when I was at Forestville High School as a guidance counselor, sometimes sometimes some teachers, they like to talk about kids. Oh, that family. Oh, that boy right there, And so I heard them talking about this child, and not saying so many good things about this child. He's got anger issues. So I made sure when I saw that young man that I said something positive, because all he heard was negative stuff all the time. So, and we have to go into the cafeteria in the morning, right? So he's in the cafeteria. I said, hey, how you doing? He said, I'm fine. His guard is up, like, okay, what you want with me? I don't want anything. I just want to say hi. Okay. So the next day I found him again. I said, hey, how you doing today? What you do last night, right? I'm good. Now he's giving me the side eye, like, why is she talking to me, right? So this went on for like maybe a week or so. And then I stopped looking for him, right? And then he started looking for me. Hey, how you doing? I said, I'm good. How are you? And so we just started talking and talking. And I said, this kid is a really, really, really good kid. Then I went into the records and I saw that he was failing English and he needed that for graduation. So I called him in. I said, hey, listen, son. I said, you're failing English, I said, what's going on? He says, that's my first class in the morning and I fall asleep in that class. I said, why are you falling asleep? He said, because I have to stay up at night because my parents work and I don't want my siblings near the window because in our neighborhood, there's a lot of gunfire at night. I said, oh my God. I had no idea, that there was a neighborhood with gunfire every night, right? And so I said, have you passed physical education yet? He said, yeah. I said, when you have that, the 6th period, I'm going to switch them. I'm going to give you English the last mod. I'm going to give you PE the first mod. I don't care if you sleep in PE because you already passed it, right? And so I went to the registrar. I said, I need to change his schedule. I'm going to call his parent, let her know that I'm changing his schedule because he needs to pass English. I said, and if you need help, I'll help you catch up. I'll tell the teacher to give you some makeup work. Can I tell her the story? And she goes, yeah, you can tell the story. Me telling the story, they listen. But if he would have told the story, they probably wouldn't have listened. But anyway, he went ahead. He passed and he graduated. But I'm thinking, had I not intervened, he probably would have been in summer school. And a lot of times seniors that only need one class, they just drop out. They don't come back. But you see what I mean? Yes. This kid, they said he had anger issues. The kid was tired. He didn't get any sleep and you're bothering him, So that's why you have to find out what everybody's story is and don't make assumptions. Listen, I'm Theresa Moseley, but I'm totally different from Andre, Bob, June, and Larry. I mean, we all had different work ethics. If I brought home a B, I was upset. I mean, I had to make straight A's. I just thought I just had to be perfect. But if Larry brought home a C, at least you didn't fail. The standard was kind of different from my brothers and me. I mean, they expected me to do, really well. But with that said, once again, teaching kids and working with families, I really miss that. But I still work with them, but on a different kind of level now. And you'll never know the difference you're making in the life of a child. And remember I told you that everybody has a story and you should write about it. When I was in ninth grade was junior high school for me because high school was 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. That's the year my brother died in a car accident, graduation night from high school. I dreamt about it before it happened and didn't tell him. So I thought it was my fault. I mean, that really, I had some really trauma behind that. So one night I was praying to God, like, just let me go ahead and die. I can't commit suicide because I just can't because I'm a Christian. But you know what? Just let me go be with my brother. Just go ahead and take me while I'm sleeping. And when I woke up the next day, I said, okay, God, I'm still here. What's up? God said, this is not an audible, but inside of me, he said, Theresa, write what you're feeling. So I wrote a 6-page letter and I wrote it to my teacher. My teacher's name was Cal Kuntz. You don't know Cal Kuntz, but some people do. Cal Kuntz pitched for the Mets in 1971. He retired because he had an elbow injury. Now they have Tommy John surgery to get back to work. So he was from Fayetteville, North Carolina. He was my science teacher. After I wrote that 6-page letter, I didn't give it to him because I felt better. That's when I learned that writing was cathartic. And then my great-grandmother, who I told what happened, said, T, it's not your fault. It was his time to go, whether it was a car accident or Vietnam. It was his time to go. It is not your fault, but you do have a gift. You know things that normally people don't know. Learn how to use your gift to help other people. My great-grandmother was a sage. She was very wise. But here's the thing. I had a close relationship with Cal Kuntz. He tutored me in Spanish after school. We used to sing together. I'm probably the only person to know that Cal Kuntz was a baritone. So whoever knows Cal Kuntz knows I'm telling the truth. He could sing, okay? And so I had someone that I could talk to and write to. Imagine the kids that don't have anybody to talk to or write to. They commit suicide. You know, they do things they shouldn't do because they have no one to talk to. Now, a few years later, I said, I got to call Cal Kuntz and let him know, what he did for me because he basically saved my life. And I found out that he died of cancer. And so I said, anytime now that I feel something, I'm going to act on it, number one. But I'm going to give people their flowers while they're alive. And speaking of that, one of my co-authors, Marwin Strong, he was a co-author in this book. He passed away on April the 4th this year, suddenly. On Instagram, the day before he passed away, he posted that, my dad, I miss you. You taught me the ropes. Rest in peace in heaven. And the next day he passed away. So I dedicate this book to Marwin Strong. And Marwin Strong, if you don't know, was a basketball player and gonna play in the NBA. And somebody drugged him in Charlotte. He was in a coma for a year. He actually died and wrote a book called Back from the Shadow of Death, because when he died, he went to hell and talked about it. And he came back. God said, you're not done. Hand said, go back. And so he lived another 10, 15 years and he died suddenly, but he was a co-author in this book. So rest in peace, Marwin Strong. I was wondering why I hadn't heard from him. And today I looked on his page and it said, miss you, cuz. I went, miss you. Where is he? And that's when I found out. But I just wanted to say a shout out to my friend in heaven.
I really want to thank you for that because we talked about that before the show started, and I appreciate you doing that, Dr. Theresa, because sometimes we have to take our time where we're sharing our story and just say thank you to another person who shared their story.
Mm-hmm.
Life is very, very short, so let's make the best of our lives. And again, I'm deeply sorry for your loss. And we really need to understand people have stories. People have gone through things. Check on your friends. Make sure that you're staying in touch. Don't just pop in when you need them.
Right.
Pop in and just say, hey, how you doing? Like you did with the kid in the high school. Hey, hi, good morning. And eventually that relationship really does flourish and you really do make a difference in someone's life.
Yeah.
And Dr. Theresa, you have done that for me many times. When I'm down and I'm having a hard time, you check in on me and I check in on you, and we just stay connected. It was 2 years ago that we met each other and we're still connected today. And, we need to support each other's growth and that. So I think it's a good time to ask you, Dr. Theresa, if I give you the word TEA, what 3 words would you give me?
Passion, purpose, peace. That is my T.
And I want to thank you for that because that's the T I want from you. I want you to give me you. And I want to thank you for giving me that T.
Yes.
We really need to be ourselves serve ourselves. And we said that this afternoon with the Chubby Beagle Productions. You know, be your true transparent self, because your colors are going to eventually show if you're not being true. And Dr. Teresa, you are true, hardcore. You tell it like it is. You're that mama bird. You're like, hey, no, there's something here. Let us figure out what it is and let's switch it. Let's find a solution. And that's what I really loved about meeting you, was let's find a solution.
Yep.
You have this problem, you have this issue, but it's not going to stay forever. What can we do about it? Can we change it right now? No, we can't. Can we change it in the future? Maybe we could. You know, these are the things that you taught me.
Yes.
You know, we have educators of all walks of life, all ages, you know, and Dr. Teresa has taught me a lot. She has taught me to be myself, to be true, to just go and do it, you know. And that was something that we both got, was just do it, just try it. We don't know where we're going. We're going to see where this goes. So, Dr. Teresa, do you have any plans of speaking besides all of the events that you mentioned earlier? Do you plan on speaking?
Yes.
More
I'll be speaking in Alberta, Canada, at that award ceremony on August 18th. I'll be speaking in Madrid, Spain. I think it's October 29th. And I'll be speaking in London, England, November the 19th. Yes.
So now I want to get into your color. Your favorite color is royal blue. Why royal blue?
Royal blue is a very powerful color for me. You know, I like the sky, and the sky is not royal blue, but the sky is blue. You know, blue is a soothing color for me. Blue makes me feel peaceful. So that's why royal blue is in my theme. It's blue and gold. Yes, my high school colors, by the way, were royal blue and white. Yes. So, and my junior high school colors were royal blue and white. My first outfit dress that my mother bought me that I remember was royal blue and white. So that's
So
why.
it traveled with you. It has gone along the journey, you know,
Yes.
and that's why it's so dear to you. Now, the one word that you gave me for yourself as an individual was peaceful. Why that word?
Because I've had a lot of trauma in my life, but now I have inner peace. You know, people don't know my entire story, but I have been through some things. I have been homeless for 3 days, riding a city bus all day. You know, I've had people take advantage of me. I have been assaulted 5 times, and I'm still here. Um, the last guy that assaulted me was a mugger. He mugged the wrong girl because I said, I am not going to be anybody's victim anymore. I was in Atlanta, Georgia at the ATM, Good Friday, getting money out to go to North Carolina. And this guy comes by and snatches my pocketbook and runs down North Avenue down by Georgia Tech. And I ran after him. Now that people don't run after somebody that mugs you, but I have to get the discernment. I knew I could take him. I ran track in the Army. And sure enough, I grabbed him by his collar. And I just wiggled out of his jacket 2 paycheck stubs with his name and address on it. I said, I got him, but there was an off-duty police officer that really tackled him and grabbed him. So he got arrested for assault, battery, theft, and resisting arrest. He got 4 counts and he went to jail. And that's the last time I was ever assaulted. I'm not the one. Yeah, but I'm at peace because I know that I am living in my purpose. I am successful. I am fulfilled. I am prosperous. I have inner peace. I teach other people how to discover self, know what they love, develop a blueprint, show them how to network, show them how to be accountable. And that makes me feel good helping others. I am the go-to person. There's so many people that call me on a regular basis. Teresa, how do I do this? How do I do this? And they get the information from me for free because I just don't charge like that. You know what I mean? But it gives me peace to help other people. So I am peaceful. Like the lady said in the line in the guest services, there was something peaceful about you, you know? So I'm hoping that resonates with all of your listeners today. You know,
Well,
yeah.
I really, Dr. Teresa, we really have learned a lot from you. Your peaceful, your passion, your purpose. I want to get into the song because you wrote a song I tried to get it into here and it wouldn't go in. But if you go and check out Dr. Theresa's YouTube channel, you can see this song, and it is a beautiful song. So, what brought that upon for you to do that?
When I spoke at the Sean Fair Leadership Experience Tour, I put my video on my web page. It's also on my YouTube channel. I had a music producer listen to my speech, and he contacted me via Facebook and says, "Hey, you're a powerful speaker. If you ever want a signature song, just let me know. You can write it and I can produce it for you." I said, "Of course, I'd like a signature song." And this is a music producer out of Dallas, Texas. And so he says, "Well, write the song, give me the lyric, and then I'll put the music to it." 15 minutes later, I emailed him the song, and he said, "Wait a minute, did you just write the song in 15 minutes?" I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Oh my God, you are driven." He said, "Can you come to the studio in Dallas, Texas?" I said, "I sure can." Next weekend, I was on the plane to Dallas. I recorded the song, and the rest is history. And the first part of the song is a narrative where I'm talking about communicate rather than retaliate, attack the problem, not the person. It's part of my 16 steps to becoming an ambassador of peace. And it's a gospel song. I use scripture. He'll keep you in perfect peace if you keep your mind stayed on him. I'm not done with that song yet, too. I'm looking for a HBCU choir to do the chorus for me.
Oh, that would really be beautiful. Yeah. I've heard the song, guys, so I know where she's going with this. This would be really gorgeous. Like you sent me the song and you're like, "Liz, I wrote a song and look." Yeah. And I was like, "Oh my goodness, this is so cool. This is so nice." Like it has a nice, beautiful flow to it. And the choir, oh my goodness, yeah, absolutely. Like Dr. Theresa, that would put that cherry on the top of the pie, right? Yes. And I don't like cherries, so we're putting a cherry on top of the pie. So I want to get into the store. You also have a store, so I want to get into that. So if people go to your website, how can they find more?
When you go to my website, creatingambassadorsofpeace.com, I have lots of breadcrumbs. I have my bio, I have my bookstore, I have an event page, I have a media page, and the last breadcrumb is my apparel store. I actually have this coffee cup, Creating Ambassadors of Peace. I have t-shirts with positive messages on it. I have a hoodie, kids that like the hoodies in different colors and different sizes. I have a tote bag, and I'm going to have some more stuff in this store really soon. I'm going to have a Passion Purpose Peace candle coming real soon and some bookmarks. But you can just go to my website, order anything you'd like, and it'll come to you directly.
Oh, well, that is truly amazing. Like I was checking out that store. I was like, "Oh my goodness, this is so cool. I like this." And I like the bookmarks because we don't use bookmarks. Yeah. That's something that really needs to come back is bookmarks.
Yeah, I need them because I read 3 books a week. So I needed my bookmarks to keep me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to be that girl that used to bend the edge, and then I'd be mad at myself because I'm bending the book. I'm like, no. And then I would just put like a popsicle stick or something in between, and then So any final words before we wrap up your tea time?
Yes. First of all, I want to thank you. So I've been looking forward to this for the last 4 months. Thank you so much for having me. And I always end my speeches, and anytime I'm talking with someone, I always say peace and blessings. But I have an original quote that I wrote in 1992. And that is, life is but a short road to our ultimate destiny. Make peace, have compassion, and learn to love before you get there. Peace and blessings.
Well, I really want to thank you so much. It was, I really looked forward to this tea time because you kept checking in on me and all of that. And I was just like, oh, I can't wait because I love seeing people I've already met in person. This makes it even extra special, right? Is when we know the person in person and then we see them online. We're like, oh my God, I haven't seen you in so long. So I really want to thank you for that. I want to thank you for your books. And again, for the memory of your author who passed away, let's just give him a couple of minutes, of respect, and maybe send Dr. Theresa just a big old hug, virtual style. Or if you see her in person, just give her a hug. Sometimes just a hug goes a long way. So I want to thank you. And I want to thank you for being the voice of peace. I want to thank you for your peace work, your services in the veteran, being in the Army, giving your life for service, for education. I want to thank you, Dr. Theresa, for everything that you've done, for the role model, for the friendship. I want to just thank you because you really have made a difference in my life. You are one of those women that I will always remember meeting. So I want to thank you for that. I want to thank all the audience that has tuned in and shares these tea times. All your support goes a long way. You just never know what life you're going to make a difference with when you really just share. Take the 2 seconds of sharing, take the 2 seconds of saying thank you, take the 2 seconds of giving peace within yourself because it starts with you. Peace is within us. When we have it within us, we can give peace to others. So I really want to thank Dr. Theresa for bringing peace to my table, bringing peace to my audience, and bringing peace to my listeners. So if you have found that this tea time has helped you, I want you to share it. I want you to go and check out the tea times because Dr. Theresa is going to be coming back again. She's not aware of this yet, but she will be back again because that's what I do. I bring my guests back again. I have a lot of surprises as well. So you have to stay tuned with Tea Time with Miss Liz. I also want to thank all of my guests that I had today because you all aligned in a way. Elder Dogs Canada, the compassion, the peace, the respect, the honor. We started off this morning. And then this afternoon, Chubby Beagle Productions, just being diverse, have that diversity. So, Dr. Theresa, before we wrap up, because we still have a few minutes and I don't want to wrap up early, I want to give you your full hour. How do you feel about diversity?
I think there needs to be more diversity in the world. I truly believe that there needs to be a diversity class for anyone going into the field of education and anyone going into any corporate work. You know, you need to study, you need to know what diversity is, number one, and what to do when there isn't diversity in your workplace. You know, I think there needs to be more diversity.
As an educator, Dr. Theresa, what final words do you have for educators out there that are going into the field just now?
I want you to know that your job is more than teaching and learning. It is your responsibility to make sure that child is safe and that you address the whole child academically, socially, and emotionally. Give every student a response opportunity. Make sure when you give them a response opportunity that you acknowledge what they say and give them some feedback. That's so important.
Well, I want to thank you again and thank you for being a role model and a leader of making a difference with peace. We need more peace ambassadors like you. So, if anybody would like to reach out to you, Dr. Theresa, how could they reach out to you?
When you go to my website, the very first page at the bottom, there's a booking and it's free. You can get a 30-minute conversation with me. Just go to www.creatingambassadorsofpeace.com and schedule a meeting to meet with me. Also, there's a link to all of my social media websites, so you can also DM me from that web page as well.
And do you have any final events that are coming within this month besides the Jazz Festival, which I'm going to try my best to get to go and see you because that's only an hour from me. And I
Yes.
would love to see you again
Well,
in
I am
person.
going to do a day trip to Quebec City while I'm there too, by the way. I think I'm going to do that on Sunday or Monday. But once again, I have Peace Ambassador training in Geneva, Switzerland next week. So I'm going to be out of the country doing that. And I just my schedule the next 5 months is loaded with travel and speaking that we talked about earlier today.
Well, thank you so much. And again, it was an honor having you here on Tea Time. We need to really stay connected. We really need to keep the friendship going and we need to encourage each other. So I wish you all the best in all your future endeavors. You really are a woman who inspires me. So I want to thank you for that.
Thank you so
Uh,
much.
for, and thank you for just taking the time to sit and have tea with me and giving me a strong tea of peace,
Yes.
passion, and purpose. It doesn't always have to start with the TEA, guys. Tea is different. We all serve differently. So remember to serve who you are and give 100% of your true authentic self. So I will see everybody next Thursday, same time, same place. 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 7 p.m., and we do it all over again. And we bring 3 different stories. And who knows, we might bring 3 different countries. We just never know where Miss Liz goes. This week we did US and Canada. Next week, I think we're in Australia. I don't know. We'll have to see about that one. But until then, I will see everybody next week on Thursday for a new Tea Time.